overdentures came as a reaction to the partial dentures, and this for several reasons. I mean, what problems did they have? First, that they were affecting the remaining teeth, because they had to be non-vital, and the preparations. Then the anchoring between the two was resilient, but then shocks were transmitted, rigid, but then forces were transmitted, right? Then the price was too high. Yeah, I mean, you needed to have metal ceramic crowns, and then metal ceramic removable teeth, and then the dentures. So that added to the price, and it was too costly. Then, as you can see, the remaining teeth were receiving that type of forces, that the periodontium of those teeth was affected in time. Yeah? So they became loose in time because of the movements of the denture. Those remaining teeth that, by the way, were the only ones to sustain the occlusion, right? Because the denture would never sustain the occlusion. It simply goes a little bit down in the mucosa, or a certain movement, hinge movement, and the only teeth that remained to sustain the bite actually were the remaining teeth. So how much could they sustain, right? So we did the overdenture, right? It solves everything, but not point 4. Point 4, we solved them by cutting the teeth. So in the overdenture, you cut the tooth, right? So you take the nerve out. Of course, it's non-vital, but the fact that only the root remains means that the forces that can affect those roots are smaller, because there's less height of the abutment that the denture could mobilize. So after the Second World War, we got this idea, why not overdentures, right? And overdenturing is a solution that is widely used in implant retained dentures. So this was quite a solution for a long lapse of time. Now we tend to do everything fixed, but overdentures on implants is still a thing up to this day. So the special systems, as they are called in Romanian, the attachments, right, used for overdentures is ball attachments. We call them occlusal spheres, ball attachments, occlusal ball attachments, the locators, and the magnets. Yeah. So magnets are quite easy to use, and they're very good. The problem is that they're not always available. Now, DRS means dispositive, root, and sphere. Those are the three letters, and in Romanian is dispozitiv radicular cu sferă. Well, this is very simple to understand. I have some roots, and upon those roots I put some ball attachments, some spheres. You see, this is the impression of those spheres, right? I took impression of those spheres that were placed upon those roots, right? We'll see it in detail. That sphere that in this situation has been taken into impression, as you can see, right? So we did an impression. We cemented the spheres, the ball attachments. We took an impression, and in this impression, as you can see, we placed some analogs. So that's a sphere identical to the one in the mouth, But this is in order to be able to fix it in plaster, in the model, right? And then when you pour the model, what do you get? You get the plaster model with metal ball attachments that cannot break. That's the idea. The ball attachments are not small in plaster to break quickly, but in metal, so you can do the overdenture without risking to damage the model at the level of those ball attachments, which indeed are very tiny. So this is the final denture. The upper denture is a temporary upper denture, total denture. The occlusal plan was not modified because this was how it was before the overdenture was done. So all this is temporary, right? Of course, the future, the lady will have to receive new dentures, but this is, everything here is temporary. So next solution are the locators. Locators, I'll show you a movie what this means. So you find this on YouTube, it's in English, and I will just comment it a little bit, avoiding the publicity that they do. So this is the shape of it, right? The patrix is fixed on the tooth or on the implant, you see, and the matrix is in the denture, like every overdenture that we do. So if the implants are divergent, you see here we speak about a situation on implants, but you can have this on roots. Yeah, we have to understand that. The same locators, you can cement them in the root, right? So look the way how it sits. It's a self-aligning design, that's what they call it. And yeah, it's a click, actually. It's a click, that's true. So the question is, how do they sit there? Because there is a disangulation, as we call it, right? There's an angle in between the two. So how can they sit without transmitting forces to, dysorthodontic forces to the teeth, or damaging forces to the implants? The click is quite strong, so you don't worry about that. Two locators are really good in maintaining the denture in the mouth. So some matrices, some patrixes that get into it, well, matrix with patrix, you see, but this is the matrix, the plastic one. So here you can have various amounts of retention, yeah, and this plastic thing has a pin inside. This one, you see, doesn't have a pin that goes inside. It allows you to have even more disangulation, difference of angle. You have more possibilities force-wise. Now, this is the extended range that we're using now. Yeah. You see, this is missing. So it's easier because it doesn't have the pin. The locator can sit in place even if we are 40 degrees. We have 40 degrees divergence between the roots or the implants. Yeah. So this is a wonderful solution. You cannot do that in spheres. That would be too much for the ball attachments. Now look closely how it sits in place. And here you have to understand that it's a different concept. I mean, the plastic moves inside of the housing, right? The housing is what sits in the denture. And this is how they sit in place, right? The only problem is, you see, you have dual retention there in this case, right? But the extended range, they don't have dual retention. Now the problem is here. Okay, it frictions, but now when it moves, in time, if you don't change this plastic often, there's gonna be tartar getting in between this plastic and the housing, and it will stop moving, and then it damages the teeth. That's the problem. So every 9 months you should change it. Yeah, change the plastic. But you see, the friction between this plastic and the device that sits on the root is fixed. There's no movement there. But the movement is, the housing moves in relation to the plastic intermediate device, right? That's a complete difference between locators and any other attachment. This is specific only to the locators. So it can pivot. That's the idea. It allows distal balancing, right? Perfect. But again, as long as tartar did not get in between there, in between the housing and the plastic fixing device. Contrary to the non-pivoting attachments that will be released when forces are of this kind, yes, in the mouth during mastication. So they did some tests anyhow. So yeah, this is all true. But again, if you change those plastics quite often, okay? So yeah, from here is publicity. So now it's clear. What does it mean? So we come back to our subject to see a clinical case. So if these things are already clear now, we can show a clinical case and how we use those locators. This is a extreme clinical case. The patient had a molar here, more than 20 years. She had a molar there and a bridge with an extension, and 20 plus years she has used this bridge, a preparation done by a master of dentistry. And the dentist was a friend of the patient. That's another bridge, yeah, silver palladium. Of course, I suggested to the patient to remove the other bridge, cut all the teeth and do a general overdenture. It was impossible. She didn't accept that. No, she said no. Well, I explained to her that nevertheless this has to be cut because I need to place a locator there. So she accepted that. Reluctantly accepted, you know, and yeah, so we cut the canine. The nerve was the tooth was non-vital since 20 years, so, and that molar had to be extracted. Of course, she understood that. So what we did, it's very, very easy. You just put a retraction cord in the sulcus, of course, after initial cutting of the tooth. Then you refine the cutting and you obtain a flat surface so as to be at the level of the gum, at the level of the cord, so to say. And then you remove the gutta percha from the canal and you place this is my option. I place, this is my personal way of doing it, a translucent composite that I place over the tooth. And it's translucent because I want to see if there's a cavity under it. I see it immediately, the color, the change in color done by the cavity, if it happens. And then we flatten a little bit even the composite. We reintroduce the calibrated burr for the locator. So we prepare the canal. And here is the slot where we will place the locator. right? But the rest of the root is protected by this layer of composite. That's how the locator looks in place. That's how we polish the composite around it, right? We polish the composite very well. And then, at the end, the margins, the composite margins, we polish them with a very fine burr under magnification to make sure that there's no margins of the composite that will damage the gum in time. All right. Then we take the cord out, and then it's very easy. You just place a ring, protection ring there. It's something that the producer gives in the set. And over this, that will allow us to take the impression, to fix the housing in the later stage. So over this, we place the housing, you see it, metal housing, with having inside a black positioning plastic. Yeah, that doesn't move at all, but just allows us to place the housing in the perfect position related to what we placed in the root on the tooth. So now it's fixed. Now it's fixed just to allow us to take the impression, right? This is the housing, and now we can take the impression. So this is how we take the impression. This is very easy to make. I mean, it's one of the easiest impressions to do. You see here, it's a prep that I've done. Of course, the patient accepted because I wanted to place here a wire clasp. There was a very curious combination. Yeah, because, I had to do that because the patient did not accept the other normal way to do it. So I had to combine. You see, that's also interesting that when you know a lot in removable dentures, you can combine and do marvels indeed. So now, after the impression, the lab did a denture, also a metal bar inside that denture in order to give mechanical strength. Yeah, and the technician is not interested what is there on plaster. The technician simply notices that there is going to be a hole in his denture. That's it, easy. Yeah. The technician does the denture as if it were a full denture. A full denture, considering this as being what? Some bone or whatever. I mean, he's not interested in that. And in that denture, you see, there's this space now. Okay? The lab has, that's how the denture comes out, right? You see the metal painted with pink inside. This is very strong now. You can imagine that. And then in the lingual part, we drill a hole. Yeah, we do it in the office. And then we inject a bisacrylate. This is called Luxapicap. It doesn't matter. It can be acrylic resin if you wish. But this type is very easy to apply, right? You need to apply some special adhesive resin there, but those are details. So, you see, we inject this material, or if it is an acrylic resin, we place it there as it is still plastic, workable. And this is placed over this very housing. What will happen? So when we fill it and we place it, the excess will come out through that hole that we did before, and the matrix will remain in the denture. Yeah, that's the pickup technique. That's what we call pickup technique. Yeah, we cut this with a scalpel, the excess, we polish it a little bit, and the patient can use the denture. Of course, we have to replace the plastic from black, which is lab, and chair side. We replace it with the final retentive plastic inside of the housing. So it depends on the locator, it depends on the patient, it depends on the case. So here we had to extend the denture, you see, because we cannot use a denture only on one side. this type of denture, one single locator. No, you have to extend it to the other arch. And this is the other clasp that I was talking about. This is quite widely used in orthodontics. I did this just to allow us an occlusal rest. It's useful, anyhow, it's useful, although I don't have teeth in the denture at that level. It was a bridge. But there is also a retention, some sort of click, yeah, because this clasp goes interdentally in an undercut at that level. So what remains after the pickup? Well, the protection remains there. You remove it, right? The white piece, you see, this prevented the acrylic resin or the composite resin to go into the system. And then slowly we trim the margins, composite or acrylic margins that could come into direct contact with the locator. We don't want that to happen. We have to have freedom of movement at that level. There's no direct contact possible between acrylic and locators. If it were, we lose our freedom of movement, right, of the system, of the whole system. And now what we have to do is to remove, with our instrument, we remove the black device and we place the friction device. Now that was too much. No, I should have chosen the blue one. Okay, that's too strong. That was too strong. Even one was too strong. Can you imagine that? So well, I had to change it, to remove it, to put a blue one, and that blue one allowed the patient to operate the denture properly using less force. So now, as I told you, you just trim the excess at that level with a scalpel, then you polish it, and that's what it is. I mean, yeah, sorry to speak about the upper one, but I mean, everything in this mouth is way worse than our denture. Our denture is amazing, is perfect. Now you see a partial denture. I don't want to comment on that, but you know, the patient loved this denture. She didn't want to change anything, so well, she was 84. And you know what? She's still alive. But yeah, I mean, she used this denture for 10 years already. It has been adapted. I told her, you know, we should, you see this lateral incisor. Well, I mean, she didn't want to do anything else. She was happy with that. And yeah, we could do it. The locator helped us indeed in such a situation. Of course, with two locators, that could have been probably better. Although when there's two locators, I still have my doubts. And I want to explain why. You see, because if I had two locators, right? Let's draw a little bit. If I had two locators, the situation would look something like this. Just imagine that here I would have a mandible, right? One locator, the other locator. Well, when the mandibular denture will have the tendency to move laterally, be it in one direction or in the other, right? What will happen? At the level of those two locators, there's got to be forces in those directions, or vice versa, right? It's a handle effect, okay? Remember the bicycle? The handle effect, left, right. And this will transmit forces, huge forces, and will mobilize the roots, right? If I had only two teeth, I'd rather use magnets, but okay, magnet is one thing and locators is another thing. Okay, magnet has an elegant retention, but the locator is really strong. One click, it's amazing what a simple click can do. But to protect the tooth, the magnet is the best by far, no doubt. So if I had three teeth, well, three teeth, no problem. 1, 2, 3, yeah, I would place three locators. Yeah, right. that would be an easy solution. One tooth, as in this case, yes, one locator, no problem. Yeah, because the denture will pivot around that tooth. So, but if I had two remaining teeth, probably I would place a locator only on one of them, and the other one just cut and covered with composite. Yeah, if the two would be in the premolar region, maybe that would be better. I would use two locators. That's another discussion. So now I'm at the magnets. So magnets, the problem is that they are not available in Romania anymore. I mean, that type of magnets that are small. So at the beginning, I did everything in metal. Some were just covered in metal. Some roots were just covered in metal. Others were covered in metal, in the midst of which we cemented, in a slot, we cemented the keeper of the magnet. The keeper is that round plate that you see here. Yeah, this is non-magnetic. The magnet is to be placed in the denture. You'll see immediately. So that's the denture. There's a special slot, just like as we saw with locators, something very similar. The technician does this location. The technique is very simple, very similar to what we do with the locators. And now what you place here is not the housing, but you place the magnet itself. You see there's a retention there. You see the margin, retentive margin of it to make it hold in the denture. And then, of course, in the denture you place either acrylic resin or composite, just the pickup technique that we have seen before. So this is with a pickup material, yet fluid, still fluid, is placed in the mouth. It looks like this. It's very simple. You don't have to be smart or okay. So this is a very elegant denture, and here that's very interesting. It works as a monoblock. It doesn't have, so all overdentures, they're monoblock. There's no fixed end mobile. How long those roots will last? I don't know, 6 years for sure. So after 6 years, magnets still hold. Yes. Yes, there are colleagues that have wider experience than me, and magnets are an excellent solution. You know, I mean, yeah, that's what I wrote in English already. Yeah. Let's see. What do you think about this? Teeth are a little bit big. That's true. We didn't want to modify anything. We used just the ancient bridge of the patient that we copied as such. Okay, it's a composite. It's a composite, just composite. No painting, nothing. Just milled and polished. Done with the milling machine, CAD/CAM technique. Yeah, the teeth are a little bit bigger. Well, they are more expressive. I could have made them smaller, but the patient loved it like this because that's what she had before and that's what she loved and that's who she was in the mirror. That's how she knew herself. So more in detail, wow. Oh. That's the typical image that surgeons use to determine most of our colleagues, non-surgeon colleagues, not to do surgery. Now that's not implantology. It's a operation. Neumann-Whitman, if I remember well, in periodontology is called. I had to do it in order to keep those teeth on the arch. The abutments were had a lot of tartar under the gum, so I wanted to clean everything in open operatory field. So I don't get into details on what the dentists before me have done. The thing is that we had to extract that premolar. You see then clearly how much tooth is, how much connection between tooth and bone. So we wanted to do a temporary bridge here. You see that's a lateral incisor, and here a premolar. Well, that was the best friend. I mean, without this one, what could you do? It would have been a drama. Well, the drama happened when I tried to put the when I tried to use this one, the patient said, well, a post came out. A post came out. So, okay, you place the post again. That's it. You learn adhesion and you replace it. No, the problem was different. This post that another dentist has placed was placed in such a way that it went in between the two roots of the premolar, because this premolar, just wanted to have two roots, and the dentist didn't believe that, didn't think about it, the possibility. And then after 3 months, this post came out. I wanted to see what's there, and I noticed that there was a perforation. Yeah. And so this premolar is compromised. Wow, that was a big problem. So what can we do in such a situation? What can we do? What can we do? Well, that's graphene. I placed 4 magnets on the remaining teeth, and I did the bridge CAD-CAM. That's the composite. 2 extensions, yes, 2 extensions, just for the sake of aesthetics, not in occlusion. The extensions are not in occlusion. They're like the locators, but, those are the keepers. Yeah, this is keepers that you place directly into the root, the modern type. And then you place the other magnets and you do pick up in the denture. In our case, in the bridge. I mean, if you had such teeth, yeah. Remember, the gums look nice now, but yes, because we did that operation, this is where we lost the premolar. Now, how can you imagine you can use those teeth otherwise than this, right? So we place the magnets. This is a pickup technique. This time is white color composite. We clean the margin there, right? 2 magnets first, just to make sure. The next 2 to guarantee the position of this bridge. It's a bridge actually, right? And here are the 4 magnets. Where is the pallet? Where is the connector? Where are the clasps? Nothing. Who's fixing the occlusion? The bridge. Okay, the whole bridge. Well, it's very interesting. For a temporary restoration, it's remarkable. Here, of course, I had to add a little bit because it was a retentive part, so yeah, it's a temporary anyhow. We had to add a little bit composite there. When we'll do the final one, of course, we will choose a solution that will not create such problems. For a temporary, that's it, no problem. The patient is happy with that, of course. I mean, taking into account where we started. A magnet has a force of retention of 800 grams. So you put like 3 liters, if you could hang 3 liters to this bridge, it will still hold in place. 4 magnets. 4 magnets, it's almost magic. Yeah, of course now we place probably some implants and it will change completely. The problem is that the patient at that time was taking bisphosphonates. It's a drug that prevents osteoporosis or helps in case of osteoporosis. So while she takes this drug, we cannot place implants. With implants, I could place even 1 implant, and that's the plan, to place only 1 implant. And but by the time I will be able to place this implant, because she will not take those drugs anymore, by that time I use it like this is temporary. It's a bridge on magnets, right? It's an overdenture, a bridge overdenture on magnets. So this is kind of new, yeah. The material is quite strong. If I have a problem, no problem. I mean, if it breaks, I can mill another one and take the magnets out and place them in the new one, and that's it. No problem, right? I don't need metal reinforcement in this case, in this situation. The only problem today is that magnets, they are not available anymore. Now you imagine what a denture would have done here, right? I could have done it with extending a distal saddle. I could have done that, yes, and turned it into a denture. an overdenture on magnets with connector and metal connector on the palate, but we want to place an implant there, so yeah, 2 more years till the implant was placed. There's a saying in dentistry, kiss, yeah. For us dentists, that's what it means. Yeah, keep it simple, stupid. My mother didn't tell this to me like that. She was colleague with a very well-known professor of our university. They were colleagues. Promotion 1958. And she worked with very well-known professors in Romania. I mean, she was one of the titans of dentistry, and she told me this: in dentistry, the more you complicate, the chances of failure are increasing. I didn't listen to her, so I regret it at times, right? Because I didn't listen to her. I did many dentures, but at the end of the day, she was right. You know, she was very right. Our old men were right. Men and women, they were right. Don't complicate. Try to make it as simple as possible. And yeah, I would remember, keep it simple.